So a club with 10 guys in it can go up there and down out.
I guess they could.
Okay.
Just like
I'm
seniors on bikes
I'm
can.
having trouble seeing the difference, but yeah.
Well, seniors on bikes can go out there too.
Sure.
But let's just say,
How about the Piaggio? Can I go out there with my motorcycle?
No.
no,
Oh, Lindy, how heartless.
No.
you can't.
What a ride.
Segways are basically like bikes now.
Okay.
Yeah,
As
well,
far as
and
the
they were in
trail's
the
concerned.
California code to begin
Yeah.
with, apparently. And,
Were they?
Yes,
Wow.
and we just didn't have anything on our books to address them, period. So
Mhm.
this started with
Yeah.
just allowing them on the streets, but we had to make some, they had to be in the bike lanes, they can't be on the sidewalks unless they're gonna push across.
So even in town, there's rules, so you're.
Yeah, they're not allowed on Main
for-
Street, they
okay.
can't be in the central business district on
Okay.
Highway 1 there, yeah.
Okay.
I was very upset when I heard that I heard it like, through the grapevine, so I didn't really see the city council deliberations, but I was
Yeah.
upset that they had segways out there. And then, as I mulled it over,
I don't know, we'll see how it goes.
yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
You gotta pick your battles. You can't fight everything, just because you don't do your. And then I thought, well, maybe so. Maybe people come here, maybe they'll dig it, maybe it'll turn out to be this modern thing. I think you
Maybe,
guys showed some
maybe.
foresight on that.
And maybe you'll see one tour a month, who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I got off the bandwagon
wait
of
and
not
see.
wanting them though.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's
Where is
all I've
everybody?
got.
They'll be
That's-
here.
That's fine, no, I know.
Yeah.
We're live on Facebook, by the way, on
Yeah.
the city's Facebook page.
Oh, okay, yeah, I
Just
saw
so
it.
you know.
Be careful.
Okay. Well, I'm going to
Oh, man.
incriminate myself here on Facebook, but what I wanted to talk about is Hare Creek also. And I have become convinced in my conversations with the Coastal Commission that the EIR is pretty much just a formality. That as far as, unless something changes, approval will be given to that project. And I wanted to raise the issue. There's two issues. One is that there is not really, I don't think that there is widespread opposition to Hare Creek. You seem to like you've been back and forth on it a little bit. I know you've got an official position that you are against the project.
I don't have an official position because I haven't seen the project yet. I haven't seen the EIR. And if
Well,
I take
it's
any
a
stand,
big box,
if
isn't it?
I were to come out and say I'm against a project, then I could legally be recused from even voting on it.
All
because
right.
it's prejudicial.
All right.
So
Fair enough.
I would not make any comment one way or another
All
on
right.
how I feel about the project.
You did actually at one point when you were thinking this over, I think you had said to me informally, and as you were thinking it over in the reasonable deliberations in your own mind, you had said, well, I was kind of for it, now I'm kind of against it, or something like that. I'm not trying to nail you to it.
Ideally, I think it would be nice if that remained open space,
Right,
okay?
okay,
But
fair
it's
enough.
not zoned that way, it's not zoned as a park. It's
Right,
just
I got you.
With a Habitat for Humanity kite festival, with the logging show, with the carnivals, and
Right.
the town circus, I
Right.
just thought, that's a good spot for it.
Right.
And it remains open space, but then when there's a chance to utilize it for something like that, that's a community benefit, then, so that's what I've said. And I
Okay,
stand
fine.
by
I'm
that.
not trying to fight you
I
out to
still
it.
think in a perfect world, if someone were to buy it and the city were to rezone it, that would probably be great. But
All right.
that's not the way we are right now, and I can't comment.
All right.
on
Well,
the
this is what I've been thinking about it. Okay, is that the implications of that project are wide ranging. They have economic implications. They're taking more money out. They've got another one of these big straws stuck in our jugular vein to suck money out of the city with their big box things. It has an economic implication, and most importantly, it has a water implication. And what I am suggesting, and more than suggesting, what I am going to try and work on with you and with the other members of the city council and with the public in general and with writing and just generally doing my thing, what I would like to say to you, the general overall gist of this is that we've only got so much water. And in point of fact, we don't even have the water we've got. There's a stream diversion permit that's pending on Summers Lane that may very well not be approved.
Lake Extreme Alteration Agreement.
Yes, that's
LCA.
right. And we are facing now catastrophic collapse of the salmon population. There's no question about that. The state has reluctantly come on board with that. In Fort Bragg, salmon is a critical economic benefit to the people of this county. Has been in the past. We're about to lose it. They're about to become extinct. And there are other ramifications about water. If we take a substantial amount of our water, any substantial amount of water, means that we can't do other substantial things. And so, we've got to make some choices. We've got to have some leadership, and that leadership has got to address water as a principal issue.
Okay, let me just respond to that.
Please.
We had our council goal setting session, and one of the goals that I got the
About to
council-
watch that on vid, yeah.
that I got the council to agree on is, at least for a start, is to fund a feasibility study for a desalinization.
Oh, you're so smart, Wendy, that's great.
And the feasibility study will basically tell us whether or not, it won't just be for seawater, it could be brackish water, it could be
Mhm.
ocean water,
Mhm.
it could be reverse osmosis, it could be condensation.
Mhm.
There's technologies changing daily, pretty much on desal. And it's the wave of the future, and it's what we're gonna.
You've always
do.
been there on that.
So we've got that. So
Okay.
that's the first thing. Now, the other thing is there's still some talk, and I'm sort of up in the air on this.
Right.
About the water rights to Pudding Creek.
Right.
And to be able to retain that.
Right.
Or be able to, I should say, get that from Georgia Pacific. And I'm just not sure, I don't know if that, because again, you're talking about.
I heard, yeah.
River water, and you're talking about similar concerns that you brought up in terms of salmon spawning and things like
Right.
that. So, I don't know about that, but anyway, so
And Tom's estimates on that were way, when Tom did estimates on the Pudding Creek thing, remember that he was talking $16 million an hour?
Right, very expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
Very expensive. So, yeah, we're, the Lake and Stream alteration agreement, that is right now, we had a closed session due to pending litigation there.
Is that what that's coming up on the new closed session pending litigation? Is that what it was?
No,
Okay.
that's a different one. But this was a couple of weeks ago.
Right. Yeah, I gotta get this
and,
right. Right, go ahead.
We're under the working under the impression that there really hasn't been an alteration in the stream. That the water, we've always taken water from that particular area of Moon Gulch, and then
Right.
basically all we're doing is when the fish bypass flow requirements are sufficient, that some of that water will be diverted over to the reservoir rather than just wash out to sea.
Right. Right.
So
Well,
that's
that's good. That's something that,
We're not digging an Erie Canal. for
no,
instance.
I know, and I oppose it, of course, but I oppose it because I think that it's a stopgap measure, it's a Band-Aid measure at best, and I don't think that the environmental effects on the salmon have really been considered, and I think that it's Fish and Wildlife, isn't it?
Yes.
But the woman, I forgot her name, but the woman who, they just gave it from the one woman, if I'm remembering anybody's name, but they just gave it to somebody else. And I haven't talked to her yet, but I have been informed that there is serious concern about it at Fish and Wildlife, so that it may not in fact be approved. But all of that being said, and let's say you're gonna go ahead with desal or something like that, then you're tacitly acknowledging that there's a water problem. If you're going to get desal done, Wendy, in your administration, and I believe you can, and I think you're the guy to do it. You've got to explain to the people that are going to fund this that your back is up against the wall in terms of the water that you've got. You really don't have that many options. The way that it's been now, they've been using Band-Aids, and they've taking water from these salmon streams, and feeding it into Fort Bragg. It's never been tenable. You've known that since the very beginning. I think during your election you were saying that.
Yeah.
Or during your campaign. So you're right on the cutting edge of that. But what I'm saying to you is that if you go ahead and put in a desal plant, and you can get 1 million gallons and you get 1 million gallons a day out of the desal plant, or combined 1 million gallons, however it works out, the development of our options. We can do things. But if we don't have that, and we're still operating on this Band-Aid approach, you don't usually have enough water to support Bragg the way it is right now. And therefore, I would like to put on the agenda and bring forward before the city council a resolution, putting it to the council and to the people of the city, that we have a prudent and careful approach to the use of water. That if we take all the water that we've got, the last remaining drops down to the last tablespoon, and give it to the patents, then not only is it not enough water to really be justified in terms of the steam alteration agreement and the other water problems, but it also eliminates all other development.
Well,
in other words, if you give the water the patents, you can't do anything else.
well, I don't know that that's true. I mean, we'll find out in the IR how much water they're going to get. I have no idea how much water use is out there.
They're going to use the same water before. They just claim that they're putting it back into the groundwater reservoirs.
Well,
They've got with this new
We'll
stuff.
find out when we see the EIR. My concern in the big picture is, right now, if coho salmon or some of the salmon species end up on the endangered species list, we may not be able to draw any water, period, from Royal River.
Exactly, and
So-
therefore,
Yeah, well,
we
that's
need
why
a
we need to do
resolution.
something.
We need a resolution stating that any development that comes forward in Fort Bragg accommodates in a way that makes sense, so that because in the past, the assumption has been that we're just not going to talk about what we're putting in our water. We're going to take it out of these Newman Gulch and
Well,
waterfall
no,
gulch.
well, I
I'm
don't think
I'm
it's
making
quite
it
that-
sound worse than it is, but
Yeah, I think any project that gets approved, for instance, the Overtime Brewery, I mean, we had to. The water use was not going to tax the system and that.
but it's not a formal resolution, is it?
No, it's not, but the process is already there through the planning department to take a look at water use, you know, and the capacity fees and the things like that. I mean, the process is there. What you're proposing is to
Tightening
have
it.
us, well, yeah, and I don't know that that's
Formalize it.
necessary, but, you know, I don't disagree with what you're saying. Obviously, you know, to have anything happen that's gonna, you know, has any kind of intensive water use, you better make sure the water's there at the expense of, you know, creating a shortage for everybody else, so.
And stopping
I'm
all
totally-
other development,
Yeah,
including
well,
residential.
Yeah, so I'm totally aware, I understand what you're saying, I just don't know that we need a resolution, but I mean, you know,
Well,
maybe it could come forward, I don't know.
Well, if the council in the next city council meeting would bring on the agenda with, I guess it has to be on the agenda before we just bring it forward and say, look, in order for a project to be approved, we
Well, I
have.
think what you need to do is take it to the Public Works Committee
Right.
and talk about it, get it on the Public Works Committee agenda. Which I'm sure you do, and we talk about, you know, protecting
I got it,
water
right.
resources or whatever.
I got patents, don't
What's that?
I? I got them, don't I?
I don't know if you,
We will stop it.
I don't know. I don't know what kind of water you're gonna have, so I can't answer that. Have to wait and see. How much water is versus for,
Better than the IM.
well, that's certainly a consideration carefully, as
All
much
right.
water use is out there, there's no doubt about that.
Right, and if the mayor, were to lead this, instead of this idiot hippie boat bum that you got running around scratching on every tree, it would, I'm referring to myself, in case you didn't know.
I knew that.
If the mayor were to lead this, with the understanding, the public understanding that it was being done in order to create rational development, put a stop to a big box store, and if you were to take the lead on that and push it through, you would be, the most successful mayor that we've ever had.
Well, I don't know about that.
I would say so. You stop the patent project on that basis, boy, I think people will never forget it.
Well.
All right, just wanted to put it out there.
Let's go, Gabe was here,
Sure.
and then we'll get to you.
I'm just listening.
You're just listening? Did you have something you wanted to talk about?
Well, I got streetlights. You know, you're gonna upgrade streetlights.
Right,
And,
yeah.
And
What's your name?
John Shannon.
John Shannon, okay.
Yeah,
All right,
see you
John.
later.
Nice to see you.
It's K-R-I-E-G-E.
K-R-I-E-G-E. Okay, thank you. John Shannon, okay, John.
Well, you're gonna upgrade streetlights, I see. And well,
PG&E's gonna upgrade.
they're gonna upgrade streetlights. Well, my thing is I'd actually like to get one eliminated.
Several people have said that.
You know, it's down a dead end alley, and it's down the alley. I mean, I don't even have a street light on the front street down there at my house, but I got one in the back.
Where are you talking about?
It's North Harrison, into North Harrison. I'm at 860 North Harrison.
Pretty.
And, you know, the street light went out there one time. It was out a couple of months, and oh, that was nice, you know. And I was talking to the PG&E guy. Can't you just not replace that? No, I can't. Well, whatever. Okay. So
it's the alley behind your house?
it's actually in the alley, yeah.
What's the address there, if you don't mind?
I'm at 860 North Harrison,
Okay.
and it's in the alley between Harrison and Perkins Way, which is the only alley up there. Last
Right, okay.
And, you know, then I had all these bushes, these holly trees grew up and blocked it, totally blocked it, you know, and my neighbors over there had this gardener, and he was trimming, and I told him, I don't want those cut. They block that street light. Well, come back later in a week, gone. So then I talked to PG&E about shielding it, you know, and they come out there and it's already got a shield on it. Their shields just go straight out, keep it from going up, you know. So what can we do? I mean, are they going to be able to do a shield that is like you know, goes down around it so it focuses it down so I don't have this light pollution coming over in my property?
A light pollution amendment.
I don't know.
Well, that's why I'm here,
Yeah.
to find this out.
Well, I can check on that for you.
We'd like to just
And I will.
eliminate it altogether. I mean, what I look at is that streetlight's been on like for 100 years there. It's a dead end alley. There's nothing goes on down there.
Well, let me.
I mean, it's like, look at the carbon footprint of that for 100 years for nothing.
Well, what they
Right.
say, what they say is it keeps the gang guys from
Oh.
doing it.
Oh, you know what
That's
it
what
does?
they say.
Okay, you know what it does, streetlights?
What?
It gives the gang guys light so they can operate at
Yeah,
night to
it's
do their
good.
graffiti.
That's kind of
They
true.
would not be doing their graffiti all over if they didn't have lights.
Right.
If they had to do it by a flashlight?
Right.
No, it gives the lowlifes, you know, they get out, carry on 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Where everybody else is sleeping, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I feel about streetlights.
Well, there are others that would disagree.
Oh, I know that. I already went through this before the city about this light. You know, the
Well,
safety
I'm
committee
gonna
says,
take a
"Oh
look.
no, they don't want to eliminate any lights or something." You know, it's like,
Right.
but
Is
you
it
know,
up to the city?
yes,
Well, it can be in certain instances, yes.
Yeah.
You know, but you also have to rely on your police chief or whatever for certain areas.
yeah.
Right.
But I'm going to take a look at it. That's why I asked your address. So it's
Yeah.
behind your house, a dead end alley,
Yeah.
Harrison Street. Okay, I'll take a
Yeah.
look at that.
And like I said, I don't even have one at the end of the street, Main Street, but I got one in the alley there.
I'll
You good guy to come down here for that.
get a hold of you. I'll either knock on your door or whatever, but within the next couple of weeks, I'll go take
You
a
want a
look.
phone number?
Yeah, but we're on Facebook, so why don't you come over here and write it down next to your name?
Okay.
And that'd be better.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we had a woman here actually wanting us to be able to dim the street lights so that you can see the stars better.
Well, that's what I'm after a lot.
Yeah,
you know,
so,
is-
so
is-
and I didn't discount her. I thought, well, okay, that's interesting. And
My thing is, I think they should be on motion detectors. Why have them on all the time when there's
Right.
nobody there? You go out
Yeah.
there in the middle of the night, there is nothing.
Right.
Forever, nobody up there, no traffic, no nothing, you know?
Right.
And you're just burning all this light
Right.
for nothing.
You know, there's another thing too on that is that in the quest for progress, as we proceed down the road to the future, there's a bunch of stuff that looks like a good idea, like body cameras on cops, and having facial recognition, and cameras everywhere, and streetlights lighting up, and they're all done in the interest of protecting itself against some nameless threat. And I don't know, but what I would like to see, and this is kind of a long-term project, this isn't high on my list, but I would like to see us declare ourselves to be not afraid. That we don't need everything that comes down the pike that gives us facial recognition, that gives us, that gives us all of these intrusions upon our privacy that we don't necessarily need. I agree with you about light pollution. We're right on the coast with 1 billion stars. When you go down in the harbor, it's so spectacular when you get out of the streetlights. And if we could make an enterprise for the city of Fort Bragg to distinguish itself, not to go in the common route and just say, oh, this knee-jerk reaction that we're afraid of everything. We're afraid of gangs. We're afraid of no gangs in Fort Bragg.
Well, there are.
Yeah,
And, you know,
apparently.
you have to realize there's other people that feel exactly the opposite.
I know.
That have a
Yeah.
security camera in front of their house.
Yeah.
And here comes a guy down the street, looks both ways, breaks their windshield. They got him on camera thanks to a street light.
Yeah. Somebody broke my windshield. Somebody shot my windshield full of pellet guns.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, so, you know, I mean, there's a balancing act sometimes of public safety and natural, you know, being able to appreciate nature.
Yeah.
So,
Well, it's just some streetlights are unnecessary.
right. And then there are other places where streetlights have been out for a while, where people have been all over the city to get them back
Yeah,
on.
I understand
Because, you know, they,
Well, we can
and, you know,
trade.
it's, we're sitting around a bunch of guys, okay? But for some women,
Yeah.
it's very, you know, they like to have
Yeah.
those street lights on,
Yeah.
so when they get out of their car and walk, and I know there's, like you were saying, maybe it's unnecessary fear in some cases, but there are enough cases of aggression and things that happen to people that, you know.
You know, but they can give you a false sense of security too.
Well, sure, everything can.
I totally
No, the
hear all that.
streetlights.
Oh.
Because they, like I say, it gives these people opportunity to function 24 hours a day where normally they wouldn't.
Mhm.
If it was just totally dark out,
It
like they
depends
run
if
around
it's
the
like coming
flashlight.
right in your, if it's like coming right in your window. Or
It's shining on my house, you know, even the shades down. Yeah, that's one thing. I used to sleep a lot better when it was just, you couldn't see anything.
Wow.
Complete dark. Well, now I have the street light, like I say, the bushes used to block it. Now it shines on the house.
Right.
Even with the shades pulled, it's not
I'll
totally
find
dark
out.
in there.
I will definitely follow up on
You
this,
know,
John.
and there is information. You go on the, you know, on the internet. And there's all kinds of information
About light pollution.
Light pollution, yeah.
Oh, I know that.
Which a lot of it is a false sense of
Well, in
security.
an environmental impact report, that's one of the things you have to address is light pollution.
And like I say, if it can't get eliminated, what we're looking for is some sort of cylinder shield
I got you. Right.
that would direct it down so it isn't coming out. Because the current streetlights, like I say, they have nothing, or if they shield them, it's just an edge that goes
Well-
straight out horizontally and doesn't block
I haven't
anything
seen
to the
these
side.
yet, but
Okay.
according to PG&E, one of the reasons they want to do these LED lights is instead of having this ambient light that goes out like that, they are more directed straight down,
Okay.
and then it's
Right.
more of a daylight rather than the strange, eerie kind of light, so that
Yeah, we don't really know what these new lights are.
We
gonna
don't.
look
I
like.
have one. I have an LED down at the harbor where I got my boat. There used to be this street light that went on and off, and it was unbelievably demoralizing.
One of the
I mean,
ones
it would be, you know, it would be on, and that would annoy you, and then
it
you'd be
goes
doing
off.
something and be off,
Yeah.
and then that would annoy you. And so they came down and put in an LED, and it really did change the alley. I mean,
Hmm.
it lit it up like daylight. I mean, you can really see what you're doing. You can work on a car out there in the middle of the night now. Now, I don't know if it's a
hopefully
good
it's
thing or
straight
bad.
down, you know, too. That was
Okay,
it.
well, we'll
Sure,
see.
different quality of life.
All right, I'll follow up on that.
Okay,
I'll let you
thank
know.
you.
You bet.
You know how there's been talk of like maybe having some fair to bring people here,
Mhm.
like in spring or whatever.
Right.
And I really think it'd be cool to have one that's surrounding health. I mean, my concept is a natural health thing, but somehow surrounding health. And it's like that beautiful trail we have out there. And once it's complete, it'd be great to have some sort of annual run or some sort of event.
Right.
Because I mean, so much health is generated just by people out there walking, right?
Right.
And just with the new clinic with the naturopathic doctor opening up there. I actually went to school with her at the natural medicine university we went to. But that's really the vision I see is like, and even part of advertising this area. You have the massage, the acupuncturist, the naturopathic doctors, and
Mhm.
just the natural scene and the health.
One of the reasons we talked about opening up the trail for groups, weddings, and all that was exactly because of a run. We were thinking, what if somebody wants to have a run out there? How does
Boy,
that
that'd be
work?
perfect, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and so that's really what started the wheels turning. Okay, so we better come up with some sort of way to control what goes on out there, and so that's I think that's an excellent idea. I know too, when you talk about health, when I first moved here 30-some years ago, 36 years ago, I met a gentleman who lived out on the point there, where at that time it was Hannigan's, it's Fort Bragg Oil, and those houses back behind there. And he told me he had moved here because his doctor had told him he had asthma, that the air in Fort Bragg is some of the freshest, best air for someone with asthma that there is on the planet.
Sure seems that. We got water in it, though. Aren't they supposed to move to Arizona or something?
Well,
I've heard that too with the way the
Salt.
weather patterns and everything.
Yeah.
Salt air.
and the negative ions, I'm not sure, you know, I'm not a physician, obviously, or whatever, but, I mean, he told me that, and that his doctor actually recommended, that's, because I asked, I just moved here, and I said, how did you end up here? He was an elderly guy, and I got a brake tool from him to work on my brakes. It
Right.
takes the brake spring off.
Right.
And anyway, it was just kind of interesting. I never thought of it. And then, you know, one of the things we don't really have here is air pollution. You notice it
Yeah.
with the prevailing north winds. And yeah, we get a little fog, but overall, and you know, to build on that, what you're talking about, just the general health here is really good. And I think it's there's a win-win. I'm trying to do a little more with our bee-friendly city too, to try and get some hanging plants downtown in the area of Mount Main Street.
Big baskets.
Yeah, the hanging baskets like they have in Europe and in Grants Pass and some of the other cities, and if we could get, you know, some of the businesses to buy in on that, where they would water it for us, and, you know, if it got really windy, you can take them down, but just, you know, have flowers with, that are bee friendly
I
and.
need to look into that bee thing.
I got something on that too, because I actually, I went up to Olympia to do the mushroom growing seminar with Paul Stamets. You know, he walked the mill site out here, the whole mushroom thing. And he's gonna be making some announcements later regarding bees, and he thinks he's came up with a solution, and it has to do with mushrooms. And it kind of, he's gonna be having a contest to make a bee feeder. And so, I think
How
we
you
can
spell that
incorporate
name?
Stamets.
Yeah.
Stametts. And so I think it would be really interesting to, you know, incorporate that, because he's specifically working on the solution for this. And when I went there, and I know that we got rated, you know, bee friendly, and I mean, in some way, at first I kind of thought it was getting blown out of proportion, because like lots of the ecologists I talked to were like, well, you know, the honeybees aren't really native anyway. And I know lots of it's
Some of them
industrial,
are.
but the thing is, they end up taking, even the wild bees end up taking in the honeybees when they collapse. So, and then the disease can spread from there. And I think we have a lot of plants around here, but I do, or you know, like flowers and everything for our area. But I do think that that's going to be a huge thing. That's what happened to look into.
You know, there was an interesting concept, I don't know that anyone's ever tried it, for these illegal trespass grows out in the middle of the forest. When the plants first are identified, whether they're male or female,
Right.
they remove all the males,
Right.
and to have a controlled male grow,
Right. So you pollinate.
and then you get the bees,
Yeah.
have them go over and
Yeah.
pollinate
Bee cops.
and seed the sensimilla so
Yeah.
that it ruins their crops.
I can see them flying in formation.
Anyway, it was just kind of a, you know, someone said that one time, and I thought, boy, somebody's
Before
really coming up with some creative,
it slips my mind on that bee, on the bee bowl thing,
mhm.
I have an article upcoming on that, but I'm not gonna publish right away, which exposes a tremendous scandal. You should look into that.
On what now?
On bee bowls.
On B?
Yeah, it's called, the name of the article is called Follow the Money.
Oh, right.
Word to the wise. So, also, on another thing too, very, very important. I got two more things. They've been warning me not to dominate the conversation.
Well, it's okay, but there's not a lot of good
Fine,
food today.
fine. You interrupt me at will, eh, Ron? But, the two things are the IULDC, whatever it is, the inland code changes. And, the other one is the, trees and game, which we talked about. Now on this, on the inland code, development meeting, they're about to make a modification on that at an upcoming meeting, right? I mean, at the next meeting that's on the agenda.
I believe so, yeah.
I think so too.
Well, was on the agenda 2 meetings ago.
Right,
three
it's coming
meetings
back
ago.
again, it's coming back.
Yeah, we directed some language
Yeah,
changes,
yeah.
and it's gonna come
Yeah,
back.
I misunderstood that. That was a notable error on my behalf. I know, one of many. It's hard to pick out the biggest ones really, but as they sail by like a flotilla. But on the changes to the plan, I really think that those are precipitous. I don't think that they've been looked at. I wrote about it vehemently, thinking that it was the coastal plan.
Right.
And so, which it's not, and I'm now clear on that. But in retrospect, even though it's not as urgent as I thought that it was about the division of the property amongst these various, I still think that on changes to the inland plan of that nature, and I'm saying this really gently, but I think this is a very good time to engage public debate about the planning code for Bragg. That we've got a bunch of issues that are before us, that it includes water, but it also includes some other things. Rather than approving these changes, which fundamentally limit the public involvement for the process. I know that that's debatable, but I think an argument can be made that it makes things less transparent. I think it would be a great idea if we had at least a couple of community meetings about the direction of the inland plan, leaving aside the coastal plan for the time being. I think there really are things, the lighting is one thing, but there are other things that we can do. It's got to happen every 2 years. There's got to be a revision of the inland code every 2 years by state law, and this is the time. And so, since it is the time, I would just like to quietly. This is not one that I'm jumping up and down on, but I would just like to quietly advocate that you're doing transparency real good, Lindy. This would be a good time to ask people what they wanted to have in the inland plan before we just go ahead and make it perfunctory. There's that 2-year thing really is supposed to be a time when we get together as a community and discuss it.
Well, when it comes up on the agenda, I suggest you show up and get some others, like-minded people and come up and tell us what changes you'd like to see, and because.
Well, I wanted brainstorm.
Right. Well, it could be that the direction we give is to put together some sort of community workshop.
Right.
To come up with, any changes we may or may not want.
Right, there's nothing real controversial on this,
Right.
and I'm just saying that since it's this rotational thing, since it's, this cyclical thing, we should utilize it, as part of being more transparent, being more open.
Yeah.
And then on the trees.
Yeah.
The trees, I have looked in depth, there is no professional evaluation that the trees are quote-unquote diseased. There's some visible evidence that there are bark weeds way up in the tops of some of the trees. But
Which trees are they?
we're talking
Bay
about,
Bridge Park.
they're talking about cutting down every tree in Bainbridge Park.
Well,
That's
they've
what
already-
I'm just
they've
talking
already-
about.
Are they Bishop Pine? Or
Yeah. They're the ones that they've been suffering from the,
I did a bunch of surveys
From the
on the
pine-
Bishop Pine.
from the pine
Did
needle.
you?
Yeah.
And
What's your take on it? Should Bishop Pines be eliminated just on the basis of their species?
No,
No,
I
it
mean,
wasn't
it's actually
invasive species.
no, it's a protected group, but they are starting to get a lot of disease.
Well, but I was looking, how we do, we go into these Google
are these
searches.
the ones they call bull pines? Bishop pines?
Bishop pines are bull pines, but
Okay,
I'm
well,
not
I mean,
sure.
around here you call them bull pines.
There's
Right, but
different
I'm not sure those
kinds,
are.
so I'm not sure.
Are those bull pines? They don't
Well,
look like it?
I've heard them referred to as that, but I know
Right.
that's not the botanically correct name.
All right, when you go to a city like Rochester, or Syracuse, or Brooklyn, or something like that, and I remember in Brooklyn particularly, these beautiful overarching trees, like cathedral-like trees, great big diameter. If you were to cut down one of those trees, those Brooklynites would come out and lynch you. They protect their trees and they love their trees. It's not enough to plant little ones, little golf course trees. And you noticed did you get that thing about the carbon value, the $160 versus $13 value? That's one argument. But a greater argument, Lindy, and once again, I really think that this is a really important issue. And it's important not because the trees themselves are all that important, but because the trees are being cut down because there's a mechanistic. I've been talking a lot to Turner lately. He and I got this thing going on at Pinocchio Center, and he's been we've been coming together You know, what I used to call conspiracy, and which seemed like conspiracy to me, he is telling me it's just the machine, the cogs in the machine. That the city council cannot do everything themselves. They have to hire professionals to work for them. Those professionals have to rely on protocols and procedures. Things have to grind along according to the procedures that exist in government. And the city council is supposed to be a brake on that. And what we've got here is a clear-cut situation where the trees have been maligned and slandered and unfairly condemned. And the city council is the only possibility for saving them. And if those big trees in Brooklyn, you know, they're 4-foot diameter, they would never have been there if there weren't people that cared and loved big trees. I'm not talking about trees, I'm talking about big trees. And last thing, and I'll shut up, is that I looked at this, the bark beetle. Now, I don't know if that's really the whole problem, but you may know more about
They
it.
come in because they're already weakened.
All right. That's what I was getting at. That it looks like.
Do they have a lifespan too, before you keep continuing?
The trees?
Yeah.
Well, see, bull pines are different than bishop pines, like species.
Right.
But like bishop pines and maybe bull, they're only like 85 years. They're not that old, or, you know, compared to like a redwood.
Right.
So that's why lots of times they'll die altogether too.
Right.
Because it's like they got to that age.
But they're not that way yet. And what they're looking at to make this judgment is that and I really think they did it in good faith. They're saying, look, they've got these beetles. Let's not let these beetles crawl all over town. Turns out that those beetles only occur when the tree is weakened, and the trees are weakened because of drought. And if the trees would be watered, the beetles would go away. I'm oversimplifying it, but I've got to condense all this Google search into a couple of sentences. But we could grapple with the tree's comparative health without cutting them down. And I want to stress that they're being cut down because it's like it's on their check sheet for building parks. The fence is coming in, the trees come out, little trees go in. There's this tendency for a mechanistic and unconsidered program to occur when we're trusting everything to professionals. So we need the leadership of the city council to protect the trees.
They took at least 2 or 3 of those trees down that were
Right, unnecessarily.
on Laurel Street.
Unnecessarily. You should have seen me riding my bicycle back and forth cussing at them.
Yeah.
Those trees.
I'm glad I didn't actually.
I'm sorry I did it.
But,
It depends.
you know,
I mean, they're pretty. They'll fall in the wind. Like we were driving, one just went. It could have fallen.
Well,
it
but
depends, right? Like,
It does, but these are solid trees. They cut out all those little the little pines over there for no other reason. Scott Mayberry, my good friend, the guy I love and admire very much, cut down all those little trees over there by the playground just so he could get a good shot of the new laboratory with his security camera. And once again, that was one of them trees, one of them little trees over by the playground, had a little branch about 3 feet off the ground where the kids' butts had polished it up to the sheen of a piano. And nobody said thank you, nobody said anything to those trees. They just chopped them off and didn't love them one bit. And I think we should love our trees, Lindy.
well, I won't disagree. I think we need an arborist or somebody who's a.
Do you?
Well, I think we
Because-
do to really determine, because Gabe's right. If they're in a situation where we're liable because they're in our park and a nice big wind comes, you have to think about this. And if somebody has it hit in the head and kills them, I mean, then there are going to be people saying, why? You were told that they should be cut down. You didn't cut them down. Now look what happened.
Right.
The liability is.
Well, I'm sure they're thinking that too, but it's true. It's true of any big tree. The kid can climb up in the tree, the cat can climb up in the tree, the kid goes after the cat
All
falls
I'm
out.
saying is if somebody has already determined that those trees are unhealthy and.
But
need to
they
come down.
haven't.
Well, I don't know that.
I do because I asked them.
Who'd you ask?
I asked all of the people behind the counter, and nobody can give me any kind of a qualified arborist's report on this. It's just a decision that was made. And I do not mean, when I say an arborist, I do not mean one of these tree cutting outfits. I want somebody, for example, I'd be content, and I would think it would be a reasonable solution to have the garden club render an opinion on this.
That's possible. I'll just give you an example.
What is her name?
Teresa Shoulders.
Was she the girl?
She's the ecologist, or she taught at the. She gave a pretty fair, like,
Yeah.
but I mean,
Can you give me the last name roughly?
shoulders, I'm not sure.
There are similar
Thank you, dude.
trees that I know have been thinned out around Mendocino County for the same reason. Several at the golf course.
For cracking and falling, don't you?
Yeah, well, they've
Beetle?
reached that point. The beetle has,
The
you know,
age thing?
the age thing, and they've gotten to that age, and they've been taken out. And so my understanding in making that decision about Bainbridge Park was that those trees have reached that age, and that they need, you know, they need to come out.
Well-
So I have to rely on somebody who knows more about trees than I do, and my understanding is that somebody had to have made that determination to move it forward to us,
Jennifer
to ask
Owens?
for our blessing.
Jennifer Owens and Marie did it. They just did it out in.
Well, I don't know that for a fact, but I'll
Okay,
look
you
into
look
that. I
into
told
it.
you I would look into it.
All right, that's.
And I will.
And I'm doing my part on the garden club, okay? I'll try and get you some information, all right? That was what I said in the email, and I'll stick with it.
Because parks, you know, trees are, how can you have a park without a tree?
Yeah, and big
So-
trees.
So, you know, if we did take those out, we obviously we looked into some drought resistant native trees that would do well in the park setting, and that's what we would plant. We wouldn't just cut them out and leave them out. The other trees would be planted as well.
Right.
So, and I know those trees because I used to live right around the corner there, and my cats used to climb those trees. And I don't know how many footballs and baseballs got stuck up in the trees over the years, so, frisbees. So,
I just feel trees should be accorded respect in Fort Bragg, and I'm kind of alone in that. I mean, we're really not a big tree boosting city.
I noticed that because of how cold it is here in general, that it's odd because the town of Fort Bragg, the residential neighborhoods, there aren't a lot of trees. People took them out, I guess, so they could get sunshine.
Yeah.
You fly over Sacramento or Davis
Yeah.
or Woodland, and it looks like a forest,
Right.
you know, out in the middle of the Central Valley because they need shade. It's
Right.
not so hot. Ukiah is similar. There's trees all over town, but here, oddly enough, there aren't a lot of trees.
Right, and there's this urban forestry program, and I'm forgetting the general agency, but it's a federal agency that has urban forestry programs, and they have them all over. It's sort of a carbon, related thing. But urban forestry is a big term. And since, I noticed that people in Fort Bragg, the political establishment in Fort Bragg moves towards the direction of money. Which naturally, since they take all our money and send it off to Sacramento, what are you gonna do? But when there are grants available, when there is money available, we tend to move policy in the direction where there are available funds,
Sometimes.
Yeah, and here we have one. Here we have one where we've got an issue, we've got the specific life of these existing trees, and B, there is an availability for help coming from abroad. So I would just say that our urban forestry, program in Fort Bragg might be very, I'll bet you we could get some.
I gave you an example of back in the 90s, 1994, and I'll share this with Gabe. There was a movement on the council to remove the trees on Manzanita, the ones right up against Pudding Creek, those eucalyptus trees that are on the last
I was just
road.
gonna mention eucalyptus can be problematic.
And we had somebody take a look at them and say that they were pretty, they looked pretty healthy to them. And yeah, there were some branches hanging over Manzanita, but and we saved those trees. They're still there today. They almost came down for safety reasons. So.
Give me a clue where they are here.
Manzanita, it's the last street by Jack's Muffler between where the old brewing company and the dry cleaners on the very end of Franklin. You go all the way north on Franklin, then you hang a left.
When it's windy, I don't drive that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, that's.
eucalyptus are everywhere because, for the train tracks, they never work, right?
Right.
Yeah, planted everywhere.
Right. And I think I can understand your concern because there were some trees removed at the north end of Harrison Street that was not done
Properly, it wasn't. They let the cat out of the bag, and the chainsaw guys came and were telling me they were like, these are rotten inside. And so I was riding my bicycle up and down, bright red in my face with steam coming out my ears. And when they chopped them down and I could see the stump, I go, look here, there's the stump. There's no rot in the stump.
Right.
They sort of dismissed me,
What kind of tree was it?
Well,
They're the same thing, pines like that, whatever they are, bull pines, I guess, or whatever they are.
Bishop
Well,
pine, bull pine.
Yeah, bishop pine.
They didn't notice the neighbors either. They just,
They just
one
did.
neighbor complained because he was worried that it was gonna come down on his house in a strong wind, and the
Yeah.
rest of the neighbors, to my knowledge, weren't noticed properly that it was gonna happen. And there were some that felt that that was a definite windbreak, and that, the temperature on the street there was gonna, and in their houses was
Right.
gonna
I think if
change
you,
dramatically when that old north wind came in.
that's right. I think if you look into this carefully, you'll find that the reason that they're doing it, the underlying reason, I'm not casting aspersions.
Bainbridge Park, now you're talking about?
Yes,
Yeah.
but I think you'll find that the reason that they're doing it is because it makes the iron fence easier to install. And the fence can be installed even though the trees are there, but it's a little trickier. And I think that they were just taking it as a whole planning process and, we'll get the trees out, put the fence in, and we'll plant new trees.
Well, I think when they took the first 2 trees out, they realized that at some point all those trees were gonna have to be taken out.
Well, but the beetle damage, if there is beetle damage, is very limited. It's way up in the top branches. If you just go over there on the tennis courts and stand there for a minute and look at them, man, those are beautiful trees. It'd be a shame to lose them. We should at least fight for them. Give them this tree down. I'm sorry to make such a big deal about the trees.
Well, that's okay, I understand.
I just feel that it's
We need to get, I'll find out more.
Right.
That's all I can tell you, maybe by next week, by next Monday.
That sounds reasonable. I just feel that this is another example of the city council having an opportunity to set a little bit of direction and rely a little bit less on the technocrats. Granting, Lindy, as I have come to grant, that the technocrats are necessary, that the complexities are many, that there is going to be a necessity to depend on people that work at it 8 hours a day. But that being said, I think there can be an undue reliance on that, and if the city council will take the leadership in key issues, the TOT was a bad bummer. Bummer. I can't believe that. And now we have this trees, and this is another evidence.
Remember, the TOT was voted on by the public.
No, that's not what I mean. I've been very in favor of AA and AB. What I'm not in favor of is that we had got a wonderful woman doing great work, knocking her numbers through the sky. Sharon Davis was doing a fabulous job, and instead of that, they took them and, has anybody looked at the city website? It looks like something out of the Soviet Union in 1940. We are not great at creating a website. And, you've got a very creative process where you've got YouTube, you've got Instagram, you've got all these social medias, and Sharon was rolling with it. And instead of that, we cut her off at the knees and brought everything back into Site
Not
City
yet,
Hall.
not totally.
It's done deal, ain't it?
I don't think so.
6 months from now, it's over.
Well, who knows? 6 months is when we're looking at it again.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Right. It's another thing. When this guy yelled at Linda Ruffing, this character out there at the
Oh, yeah, he yelled at the city attorney. He was yelling at me, too.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I had a little talk. And, I won't get into the details, but I don't think he's gonna do it again.
Right.
And, political opposition is one thing. Rudeness to women on the street is something entirely different. I was very upset about that.
It was definitely harassment.
It was unbelievable. He heard from me about it. I didn't threaten or anything like that, but I made it clear to him that I strongly disapproved of that action.
Right.
And when you get things going like that, when you've got bad actors interrupting and breaking down the protocols, the reasonable courtesies and considerations that we use to govern ourselves with, it really is more destructive
I agree.
yeah.
And I think the council meetings have run a lot more smoothly now without those disruptions.
I agree.
I think the law's been laid down, and and I think in that particular incident, I was saying, calm down.
What was he upset?
Inexcusable.
He was upset because initially there was a problem on the street where he lived. And he had called the police, and there was an abandoned vehicle in front of his house. And I think the police took a while to get there and pushed it out of the way, and then he was on the phone, and then he happened to see us come out we had breakfast together before the retreat, and we all came out of the restaurant, and he just started yelling. He started yelling at me,
Opportunity to get.
and then
No, he was
where-
saying, get out of town.
well, yeah, well, that's, yeah, and he was pointing and taking steps towards the woman involved.
It really upset Linda.
And, yeah, so I tried to calm him down, and then he was kind of yelling at me, and it was uncomfortable. I'm larger than he, so I wasn't really afraid, but I was trying to calm him down, and I couldn't do it. I was trying to lower my voice and talk softly and calm him down, and it just wasn't.
Calm down
working.
so he doesn't have a heart attack.
And,
Well, he's got problems, and it's known that he's got problems, and he's
well,
got.
let's hope it doesn't happen again, because like you said, it does not contribute to trying to get things done in a, if you want.
It takes away from our side. It takes
Right.
away from the opposition. You know, we
Sure.
want to be able to be in your face, but we want to be able to do it in a way that doesn't disrupt the whole the whole process. You know?
Right. And we listen. I mean, I think when Gabriel comes up, I perk up my ears. Okay, well, what does he have to say?
Sure.
Because he's engaged. He's been to the meetings. I know he's interested. I know he's
We're all,
got the best.
we're all
interest.
allies, really. I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
he's got the
We
best
are
interest in
allies.
the community, and he may be criticizing us, but you know what? It's probably due criticism, so I'll take a listen. And most of the time with you too, I listen to what you're saying. And I know sometimes you get a little excited and maybe throw out a few pejoratives, towards certain people. But you know what? As long as you're not getting out of hand with that, I'll let you go. But I mean, if you start really pointing and calling names,
Yeah.
I'll
Yeah.
gal you and say,
I
back on point. And I think you've been
I
actually been much better
craft
too.
my pejoratives to not be personally, to make a personal attack, but at the same time making the case that I feel that it's scurrilous behavior. I mean,
Right.
it's a balancing act, as you pointed out.
Okay.
One thing, just really quick, that would be cool when the website's up and running eventually, or if I know it's gonna be upgraded or whatever, would be to have some virtual, 360 shots in choice locations.
Yeah.
Sharon was all over that.
Maybe
Yeah.
even drone shots.
Yeah.
Sharon was all over that.
Yeah.
They're not gonna do it at the city, the in-house, guys, what is this business about? We're gonna have them do it and not cost any hours. How are they gonna do it with no hours?
I don't know.
I took a bunch of drone shots.
Okay.
All right, Rex.
The penalties.
I'll find out what's going on with those trees.
Thank you.
I'll get back to you.
Nicely.
I appreciate your time.
All right, Dave, you bet.
Have a
Thank you.
good week.